There are moments when the rules stop making sense, when the institutions that are supposed to protect a sport forget why they exist, when the business swallows the game whole, when the people in charge lose sight of the people who actually play. And when that happens, the players have two choices: stay quiet or push back. Something happened this week that almost never happens in 100 years of international football. 3 national teams decided not to stay quiet, and the sport has never seen anything like it. To understand how Spain, Argentina, and Brazil ended up at this point, threatening to walk off the field at the 2026 World Cup, you have to understand what FIFA did in the first 2 days of this tournament. Because this didn't start with a threat. It started with 3 decisions that together built the most serious institutional crisis this sport has faced in a century. It started with the opening match on June 10, 2026. That game was supposed to be the greatest celebration of world football in decades. The Aztec Stadium, full capacity, 80,000 people, the opening ceremony, the entire planet watching. And then 90 minutes of football produced something that had never happened in 100 years of World Cup history. 3 red cards in a single match. 3 players sent off, 3 teams reduced to 10 men before the tournament had even found its footing. Never, not from the very first World Cup in Uruguay in 1930 all the way up to today, have 3 players been expelled in the tournament's opening game. Never. And the reason for those 3 red cards had nothing to do with violence, nothing to do with deliberate aggression, nothing to do with any danger to any player on the field. The reason was the new rule. The rule FIFA approved before the tournament without consulting the world's most important football federations. The rule that mandates a direct red card for any player who covers their mouth with their hand on the field. No prior warning, no yellow card, no chance to defend yourself. Red card at the total discretion of the referee. In a sport where players have spent 100 years communicating on the field in every way imaginable, cupping a hand over their mouth to whisper a tactical instruction to a teammate, shielding their voice from the rain, trying to shout a play call over the noise of 80,000 screaming fans, all of that is now grounds for an instant ejection if the referee decides it is. No explanation required, no context needed, no appeal possible in the moment. And in the opening game, the referee made that call 3 times. The rule itself has a complicated backstory that touches directly on the politics between Gianni Infantino and the broader football world. The regulation was pushed through the International Football Association Board, the body responsible for the laws of the game, at a special meeting in Vancouver, Canada on April 27, 2026. FIFA brought the proposal following a high-profile incident in the UEFA Champions League in February when Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr. covered his mouth during a confrontation with an opponent. IFAB approved the changes unanimously at FIFA's request, but almost immediately, UEFA's executive committee decided not to apply the new rules to any of its competitions, not the Champions League, not any other club tournament under its umbrella. That means the rules that are now sending players off at the World Cup are rules that the most powerful club football confederation in the world refused to enforce. FIFA pushed them anyway, and the opening game of the 2026 tournament paid the price. Then came the hydration break situation, and according to sources very close to several locker rooms at this tournament, this was what really lit the fuse inside the teams. Hydration breaks exist in other tournaments. That part is not new. What is absolutely new, something no player and no head coach had ever seen before at any level of professional football, is what happened during those breaks in the opening match. The referees stopped play for hydration, players walked toward the sidelines, and then on the Fox Sports broadcast, the American network that holds the English language rights for the tournament in the United States, the commercials started, and the players had to stand there on the field, ball on the ground, watching the 4th official, waiting for an American television network to finish running ads for pickup trucks, fast food chains, and sports betting apps before they could restart the match. Football stopped. Not by a sporting decision, not by an injury, not by a tactical timeout, stopped by an advertising deal. Fox Sports paid approximately $485 million for the English-language broadcast rights to this World Cup. According to reporting by the New York Times in Sports Business Journal, that figure is nominally higher than what Fox paid for the 2018 and 2022 tournaments, but it may be up to $1 billion less than what the rights would have fetched on the open market. In other words, FIFA gave Fox a sweetheart deal, and in exchange, Fox built commercial breaks directly into the structure of the match, not at halftime, during play, during the hydration breaks. During the opening game, Fox ran full-screen commercial blocks during every hydration pause, ads for AT&T, Lowe's, Michelob Ultra, and FanDuel. Telemundo, the Spanish-language broadcaster, chose to stay with live footage during the same breaks. Fox cut away entirely. And according to Sports Business Journal, Fox actually violated FIFA's own broadcast rules, which require networks to return to live coverage at least 30 seconds before play resumes. Fox failed to meet that standard in both breaks in the opening game. Sources close to the Brazilian national team's camp say that when players watched the replays of the broadcast and saw what had happened, the reaction was disbelief unlike anything they had experienced in their professional careers. According to reports circulating through multiple locker rooms, Rafinha described the situation in one line that has since spread through the tournament's dressing rooms like wildfire. He said they were turning football into the NFL with a round ball. And that line, according to those same sources, was what opened the conversation that ended in a meeting that nobody expected to happen this soon. Then came the Thomas Partey situation, and this is what, according to everything surrounding that moment, finally convinced all three federations that silence was no longer an option. Thomas Partey is a 32-year-old central midfielder, formerly of Arsenal, now playing for Villarreal in Spain. One of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League for several seasons, a world-class player called up by Ghana for the 2026 World Cup, a man who had spent years dreaming of playing in a World Cup and who arrived at the tournament in peak physical and mental condition. Canada denied him a visa. The player was unable to travel from Boston, where Ghana's team base camp was located, to Toronto, where his national team was playing their opening group match against Panama. A professional footballer could not play in his first World Cup game because the host country would not let him cross the border. That had never happened before in 100 years of this tournament's history. Never. The reason Canada gave, according to reporting by The Athletic, ESPN, and Sporting News, is that Partey is currently facing criminal proceedings in the United Kingdom. He has pleaded not guilty to multiple counts of rape and one count of sexual assault related to allegations involving 4 women between 2020 and 2022. A condition of his bail reportedly requires him to notify authorities before traveling internationally, which appears to have contributed to the visa denial. Canada's immigration law allows officials to bar entry to individuals with pending criminal proceedings, and the government spokesperson confirmed that hosting a major international tournament does not change those laws. Ghana's foreign ministry publicly challenged the decision, calling it discriminatory and arguing that Partey had not been convicted of anything. FIFA's response was a written statement saying the organization could not get involved in the immigration processes of host countries and that the situation, while regrettable, was outside their control. That statement, according to sources very close to all three federations, was the final straw. Social media across every language and every time zone turned the Partey case into the perfect symbol of everything that has gone wrong with the organization of this tournament. Memes showing him watching through a window at the stadium where he should have been playing circulated for hours in Spanish, Portuguese, French, Arabic, and English. And according to people close to several players in the tournament, those images reached team phones and locker rooms before the day was over. Before going further, something needs to be said about Gianni Infantino. He is 54 years old, and he arrived at this tournament with one clear ambition: to make the 2026 World Cup his personal legacy. 48 national teams, 3 host countries, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, 80 matches, the most watched World Cup in the history of global television, a record-breaking commercial machine built on the most lucrative broadcast deals in football history. And in less than 48 hours, that project, which he had been building for years, became the most serious institutional crisis FIFA has faced in decades. Not because of outside enemies, not because of a hostile media, because the three most important national teams in his own tournament told him that the conditions they were being asked to compete under were unacceptable. Infantino has navigated crises before. He survived scandals that would have ended other administrators. He outlasted the structural chaos that followed the 2015 corruption arrests that took down his predecessor, Sepp Blatter, and dozens of FIFA officials. He has a political instinct for survival that is rare even in international sports governance. But he has never faced anything like this. He has never had Spain, Argentina, and Brazil speaking in the same direction at the same time. And the relationship between Infantino and the current political moment makes this situation even more complicated. In the months leading up to the tournament, Infantino drew intense criticism for his close personal relationship with United States President Donald Trump, a connection that multiple football governing bodies, human rights organizations, and UEFA officials publicly described as inappropriate and incompatible with FIFA's own statute of political neutrality. Earlier this year, UEFA delegates walked out of a FIFA meeting in Paris when Infantino arrived late because he had been traveling with Trump in the Middle East. Those delegates said publicly that the FIFA president was prioritizing private political interests over his obligations to the sport. On the eve of the opening match, speaking from Mexico City, Infantino told journalists and football fans who had raised concerns about ticket prices, immigration policies, and Iran's participation to, and this is a direct quote, chill and relax. The New York Times reported that the press conference allowed only limited questions before Infantino left the stage, wishing the audience an enjoyable tournament. That was the tone set by FIFA's leadership going into the most consequential opening days of any World Cup in memory. Now, Spain, Argentina, and Brazil did not arrive at this point for the same reasons. This is not one complaint being voiced by three different mouths.
These are three distinct arguments that overlap and reinforce each other, and together they build a case that FIFA is going to find extremely difficult to dismiss in public. Spain's specific problem with the new rules is tactical, and it goes to the very heart of what Spanish football is. The possession-based pass and move style that Spain has practiced for more than 15 years, the identity that dates back to the Guardiola era and continues to define the most recognizable football played by any national team in the world, requires time. It requires the goalkeeper to be able to distribute calmly. It requires players to position themselves before receiving the ball. It requires throw-ins to become rehearsed sequences that the team has worked on for months. The new 5-second rule for throw-ins destroys exactly that, because 5 seconds is not enough time to execute what Spain has spent months preparing. According to sources in the Spanish camp, head coach Luis Lafuente has stated in private with a clarity that leaves no room for interpretation that this rule is not football, and that if it does not change, Spain will not take the field. Argentina's argument centers on something deeper than tactical inconvenience. This is a team that just won the last World Cup in Qatar in 2022, a team that carries the weight of an entire continent's expectations every time it plays. And this is almost certainly Lionel Messi's last World Cup. Messi is 38 years old. He arrived at this tournament with one stated goal: to say goodbye to world football in the best way possible, with Argentina competing at full capacity, with a performance that people will remember. And instead, in the first week of the most important tournament of his final chapter, he is at the center of an institutional crisis that FIFA created without asking him, and that he cannot solve from the field. That is the most concrete human cost of everything happening right now, and it is the cost that FIFA did not calculate when it designed the rules, signed the contracts with Fox, and organized a tournament that by every available measure placed broadcast revenue above the integrity of the sport. Brazil's position adds a third dimension. The Brazilian Federation has the longest history, the deepest football culture, and the loudest voice in international football politics of any nation on earth. When Brazil speaks, FIFA listens, or at least it has always listened before. The fact that Brazil is now aligned with Spain and Argentina is not a coincidence or a coordinated political maneuver. According to sources familiar with conversations between the three camps, the alignment happened organically, in real time, as each new crisis compounded the one before it. And now the financial reality of the threat has to be examined directly, because that is where this crisis becomes existential for the institution.
the 2026 World Cup was built on American television money. Fox Sports and Telemundo together hold the United States broadcast rights in a deal that, according to industry analysts and reporting by multiple outlets, is valued at somewhere between $1 billion and $1.5 billion in real market terms, even though Fox itself paid less than $500 million. That gap exists because of a contract signed years ago under circumstances that the New York Times described in a recent investigation as a remarkable bargain for the network. The deal is done. FIFA cannot renegotiate it, and that deal includes the commercial breaks during hydration pauses. The games that American broadcasters paid enormous sums to air feature Spain, Argentina, and Brazil. Those are 3 of the 4 or 5 most commercially valuable national teams in the global football market. If those 3 federations follow through with their threat, if they walk out to the center of the field before their next matches and refuse to play, there is no product left to sell, no games to broadcast, no ad revenue from the AT&T spots and the Lowe's commercials and the FanDuel promotions that FIFA built into the structure of every single match. The threat being made this week is not just a declaration of moral principle, it is a financial weapon aimed directly at the most vulnerable point of the entire commercial architecture Infantino constructed. And everyone in the room, inside FIFA headquarters, inside the Fox Sports boardroom, inside the offices of the other broadcast partners across Europe and Latin America, knows it. According to an economist who analyzed the potential impact of a South American boycott for Sports Business Journal earlier this year, a full withdrawal from Brazil and Argentina alone could cost this World Cup in the range of $2 billion. Adding Spain to that equation puts the damage into territory from which the tournament would not recover commercially. Sources described as being close to the negotiations say that conversations happening in the hallways of FIFA's operational structure this week have been conducted at a level of intensity not seen since the corruption arrests of 2015, when dozens of FIFA officials were indicted by the United States Department of Justice on charges of racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering in a scandal that exposed the systematic corruption that had run through the organization for decades. That is the institutional memory Infantino is working against right now. FIFA rebuilt its public image slowly and painfully over the years following that scandal. The 2026 World Cup was supposed to be proof that the rebuild was complete. Instead, the tournament that was supposed to be his legacy is producing in real time a crisis that connects new grievances to old ones in the minds of everyone watching. Football has been the most popular sport in the world for more than 100 years, for a reason that no market research study can fully explain, but that every fan understands without being told. It is continuous, it is fluid, 90 minutes where time does not stop except for interruptions that the game itself generates. No commercial timeouts, no scheduled pauses so that television can sell its products. The rhythm is set by the match, not by the screen. That is what separates football from every other mass-market sport in the world, and that is precisely what FIFA is putting at risk with the commercial model it designed for this tournament. Not out of malice, not out of ignorance, but because somewhere in the negotiation with Fox, somewhere in a meeting where the terms of the broadcast deal were being finalized, someone decided that advertising revenue mattered more than the integrity of the spectacle those revenues are supposed to finance. A decision made in private by people who have probably never stood on a football pitch waiting for a television commercial to finish before they were allowed to play. If FIFA backs down, if Infantino agrees to modify even the most controversial of the new rules before the 3 teams' next matches, the message sent would be one that no governing body in sports history has ever sent before. The message that the players and the federations have real power over the conditions under which they compete. That changes the balance of authority inside world football permanently in ways that will echo through every tournament that comes after this one. If FIFA does not back down, if Infantino decides that the institution's authority outweighs the combined pressure of Spain, Argentina, and Brazil, the risk is without precedent in the history of organized sport. The ball is in Infantino's court. The 3 federations have said what they needed to say. The players are waiting. The world is watching. And the next few hours will determine what kind of sport football chooses to be for the next several decades. That decision belongs to the institution that is supposed to exist for the players. If it fails them here, the consequences belong to all.